Hello you beautiful bastards, I'm the Triggered Limey and welcome to another Wanker Wednesday. Today's Wanker is a little bit special, not only because it brings us once again back to Flat Earth, which we haven't visited for a while, but because it's actually just someone out of the comments section. It starts with Mr. Brackley, Mr. William Brackley, who is a pretty long time commenter on my channel. Likes to pop in every now and then to troll about, which brought me back to having to debunk a thing of Flat Earth that I'd never actually seen before, so it was quite interesting. But it started basically with responding to one of my community posts, so it's nice to know he checks out my channel. But, you know, as a lot of you know, I am disabled. I am awaiting back surgery. It was scheduled for early in 2020, but was cancelled because of the pandemic. Kind of back to square one. But anyway, I'm not embarrassed by it at all. I love my mum to death. I couldn't get through a single day without her. Not just because of my back either, you know, it's also because of my mental health. I do have emotionally unstable personality disorder, also known as borderline personality disorder. And yeah, it does have some challenges. You know, like trying to attend my own premieres or, you know, getting content out on time. But I am trying my best to get ahead and actually just start having it scheduled way ahead of time. So we had a bit of back and forth. We discussed Coriolis for a little while, the Red Bull space jump, you know, just things where he's trying to see if he can throw me off or get the answer he wants, you know, or whatnot. So then he basically said, okay, so here's a question. If it's daytime in any part of the world and the moon is on the opposite side, at what elevation from ground level would I have to be to see it? My point will become evident, but for now, try and give a simple answer. And this is why I think flat earthers or globe deniers don't understand concepts and thinking in 3D and all that stuff. The reason they have problems is because they can't look at something in its entirety. Okay, so you say the moon is on the opposite side of the earth. There's quite a large part of the opposite side. Okay, you need to specify that. And also, the moon is 384,400 kilometers away from Earth's surface. So, if you've got the Earth like this, let's say you're on this side here. The moon can be on the opposite side of Earth, but if it's on the opposite side over here, you might be able to see it over the horizon because of refraction and whatnot, even from sea level. So it really does depend. You've got to specify everything. Same thing with experiments. You have to consider all of the variables. So yeah, I just replied with depends on exactly where the moon is, as well as on other things such as refraction. Remember that the sun is massive, so a lot of its light goes past the Earth, outside it, if you will. So depending on where the moon is, you could be at sea level. Try thinking in 3D. So then he's like, okay, let's say Nevada, USA in the morning. The moon is over the opposite side of the Earth around Australia. Would it be possible to see the moon? And if so, at what elevation? Now, at this point, I was busy working on the video and I was starting to get very tired. So I did let him know that I'd have to look at it later because I was trying to get work done and we'd been back and forthing. Like, I'm not very good at turning my phone on silent, which I really need to start doing because as soon as it makes a noise, I pick it up. But then eventually, I don't know, like for some reason I started thinking that he meant that you're in Australia on the other side and that Nevada was just the reference to the time, so I did sort of mess up there. I'm thinking it directly overhead and I'm thinking of where the sun is because of the time of day. I sort of thought you would see something in Australia between a waxing crescent and a first quarter moon from sea level, and then it's what the fuck, you'd see the moon from sea level at 9 AM in Nevada when it's over the other side of the world. So I put, you know, yeah, because it's 9 AM it's still coming in at an angle, you know, and then so I explained, you know, I thought you said if you were standing in Australia, you meant you're in Nevada. If that's the case, you'd have to be in bloody space to see the moon. If it's directly above Nevada's antipodal point, which is port-aux-Français, you'd have the whole bloody Earth in the way. I also said, are you that dense? Which was kind of mean of me, but I'm starting to get fed up with these idiots. So he put, no, I totally agree, and that was exactly the answer I wanted. This is where he's starting to get excited because he thinks he's caught me out or he's about to just blow my world apart. Now, with that in mind, watch this 10-minute video when you have the time. So, and again, a thing that a lot of these people just don't understand is that when you post a link, it's going to get held up in my held for review section because that's the only way to keep most of the spam out. You always need to watch like language and stuff like that as well, because I've been accused of deleting comments, which I won't do unless you put proper hate speech or something in there. I believe in free speech, and you know, that includes my comment section. But anyway, we move on to the video that he shared with me. I was kind of excited, and it actually did raise a lot of questions because I'd not heard of this before. You know, I'm still fairly new to the whole flat earth debunking thing, you know, just over a year. We'll watch the video and you can see for yourselves. So this is the CSXT the GoFast Rocket Team, which is the civilian space exploration team. They had quite a few rocket launches. In 2004, they set the amateur record for altitude when their rocket reached 72 miles, 116 kilometers, and then they beat that in 2014, reaching an altitude of 385,800 feet, and that is 73.07 miles or 117.6 kilometers.
This rocket was an amateur rocket. It broke a speed record, it broke height record for amateur rocket, and it was in Nevada, Black Rock Desert, Nevada, July 14th, 2014. Launch time, very important, 9:30 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Now, I want to show you something here that, some folks brought out, because you do see the moon in this thing, but I want to explain to you some things about this and something I noticed that I didn't notice before.
I wonder what it is he noticed. I really can't wait to see.
All right. Of course, here's the breakdown. They did it in 2004 and made it 72 miles high. They did it again in 2014 and got to 73.1 miles, through about 386,000 feet approximately. All right? Before they ran into the ether level that they call space.
We call it space because it's space. But ether could be a good word for it too. Like, ether just basically means the empty or vast area above, like, the clouds and the atmosphere, really. If you want to look at the definition of ether, I'm pretty sure that's what it means. It's not completely empty, obviously, because, there's debris, planets, stars, all that good old shit.
All right. Let's listen to what the guy says. This is the director of the GoFast team. Listen what he says.
The photographs from space are the first that's ever been captured from an amateur rocket that's actually reached space. And on top of that, you could actually see the moon in those off on the horizon, which makes those photographs even more spectacular.
How cool is that? That's just an amazing thing, isn't it? Like, an amateur team building a rocket capable of getting high enough to be in space. You can see where the daylight reflecting off the atmosphere ends, and you can see the moon. That's fucking amazing.
Here's what's interesting. Let's play this. I slowed it down. All right, here comes the moon. I want you to watch, look at the dimension, look at the size of the moon. Now, let me ask you something. When you look up in the night sky and the moon is out, is that what you see? Is it that small?
No, because when we see it, it's coming through the entire atmosphere. Light refracts, it bounces, it bends off of stuff. When you look at something through the atmosphere, it's going to have some distortion. The size is going to change. This is why when the moon is very low over the horizon, same thing with the sun, they can appear very big, because at that angle, we are seeing it through a lot more atmosphere.
All right, now, this is July 14th. I went back and did this myself. I checked this myself yesterday. I spent hours working on this, just checking stuff out, double checking. All right, so I went to time and date, or whatever it is, .com, because it'll give you, on this basically flat map, it's going to give you the position of the sun and the moon at any time and date you want to put in. So I put in Monday, July 14th, 2014, 9:34 a.m., which is 16:34 UTC, okay? So the exact time of the launch that the rocket went up 73 miles, the sun is here over, say, what is that, Jamaica, Haiti, Dominican Republic area, the Bahamas. They launched in Nevada. The moon was directly over Australia. All right, now I want you to notice something. This side here is in the sunlight, and this side is not seeing any sunlight whatsoever. And the sun is said to be 93 million miles away. The moon is 240,000 miles away. So if this side's not seeing the sun, this side's certainly not seeing the moon through the ball.
Technically, that isn't directly over Australia. That image, so it's the center of the moon here over that point there. So continent-wise, sure, I'm just saying it's not quite over the actual country of Australia, but we'll come to that. Another thing that I just want to show you guys as well, they're looking at this and thinking, oh my goodness. But if we just take, basically want to grab exactly from the edge, it doesn't matter if we go above or below. We'll move this to the other side, because again, what a lot of flat earthers don't do is think in 3D. This all wraps around each other. Alright, so that hopefully, I did a pretty good job with that, I think. So look at that, right? In comparison to this distance, that's way less.
And when you look at this, look at the distance from New Mexico to Australia, 8,830 miles. When you do a little, you type it in, even with the height of the rocket, 386,000 feet, a distance of 8,830 miles, you get a ridiculous number. here of 26,537,329 feet. You break that down, and basically it's 5,206 miles of bulge, right? So basically what that is this. The exact opposite sides in the heliocentric model for the moon to be positioned here over Australia. I did this myself with Google Earth. Here's Nevada. You can barely see it over here, the USA. Here's this. This is in darkness. This is in the sun. This side's not seeing any of the sun, yet it's further away, technically, than the moon. So get this. There's no way he went up here 73 miles that he saw the moon through this ball. No way. No possible way. In fact, calculating it, you'd probably have to be over 500 miles plus, maybe even further, high to see that. Let me tell you how it's possible. On a flat plane.
I don't really understand the problem here because, you know, the moon is 384,400,000 meters away from Earth. So basically we got 1,261,155,000 feet. Roughly. So 1.25 billion. And this guy's worried about 26 million feet of curve. That's nothing. So first, what do we want to do? Okay, if we're going to look at this, we want to go to timeanddate.com. So it's actually slightly off of where he said over Australia. Oh, I do need to change the time though. So, you know, we want to know exactly where it is. We want to look at everything. At its zenith, directly overhead, at latitude 9 degrees 31 minutes south, longitude 144 degrees 32 minutes east. Now here's the thing, okay, Mr. Brackley in his comments said that this was over Port-aux-Français. That's a little ways away from land, but close enough. Let's add that to project. Okay, new project. Now we want to look up, just for Mr. Brackley, because he was saying Port-aux-Français. I'm not sure where he got that from, but there's Port-aux-Français. All right, very far away. So we're gonna work all this stuff out in a second. Let's add that to the project as well. And we are also going to want alright, so this is from where the moon actually was to Port-aux-Français, and it's around 8,000 kilometers away, and that's quite the difference to mess up on. But let's see, it's roughly about 11,222 kilometers away. So we've got a distance, and that's a ground distance, obviously. 11,222 kilometers. We've got a height of the rocket of 117.6 kilometers. We've got a height of the moon of 384,400 kilometers. Okay, so that's just for that. Now let's pull up an Earth curve calculator. And not that I've used one very often, but you know, a lot of people recommend Walter Bislin's, and I think it works pretty bloody good. But again, it's been a while since I've done it. So, alright, observer height is going to be the rocket. So if it's 117.6, that means it's 117,600 meters. Target distance is 11,222,000 meters. Target size, well, it's 384,400 kilometers, which makes it 384,400,000 meters away. And now there is zero refraction, really, because it's in space. So I guess, what did it hit? Enter. Let's work that out. So here, visible, you know, basically, I don't know, 90% of it or something, a lot anyway. Very little hidden in comparison to this. But if we look at the, so there's the eye, that's the rocket, all the way up there, and we see horizon comes to here. And this is the entire visible area. The moon sits here. So it's not really a bloody problem, is it, Mr. Brackley? Sorry if this was a bit of a boring video, but you know what, like I don't know, this bloke did end up pissing me off. Like, you know, I try to be cordial for a while and then I'll get a little bit testy, and then, you know what, just no. Because no matter what, everything I come back with wasn't enough for him to believe. All it is shown is it's displayed that flat earthers, or most globe deniers, will not research what they watch or read as long as it fits their belief. This is how all of this stuff continues to spread. It's misunderstanding and just sheer laziness because you don't want to be proven wrong. Luckily, most of the world aren't fucking idiots and con men. But that's basically it. Hope you enjoyed it for what it was. Mr. Brackley, you're a fucking idiot, and you know, I don't know, feel free to come troll my channel again. Doesn't really bother me, mate. It's no skin off my nose. You're just showing that you're a fucking prick and that you've got no fucking sense whatsoever. Check the description for social media and ways to support the channel, and you know, get some Triggered Limey merch. Rock that shit. Much love to you all. As always, I've been the Triggered Limey, and I'll catch you beautiful bastards on the next one.
I wanna be the best in the game, invest in my name, check no restraints, I'm obsessed with the pain. I ingest, I retain, assess and I change, possessed by the thought I'll be free one day from society's restraints, money, clout, and fame.